Yo, yo, yo. Hold on, make sure everything's okay. What's going on? Okay. Looks like everything's really good. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? So I guess I'll intro this for if I ever make a YouTube video on it. I bought, there's plastic on it. I bought this guitar like 2 years ago now, and I decided a way to keep myself accountable is to stream every day that I practice on it. I hope that's good volume. And I have an electric guitar, and this guy, I'm using Justin guitar because this is what I've heard is the best free resource. But he looks like he plays acoustic. Some of these are electric. I think it's the same thing. I've done research on it. It looks like electric and acoustic, same shit. Yeah, these are all like done already because I've tried doing this before. Like, I'm sure many people who have tried to teach themselves the guitar. I've tried multiple times. But this time, hopefully, I'll keep myself accountable and I'll keep doing this. I'm shooting for for now, just 10 straight days. Maybe not take a few days off, but no more than like 1 or 2. And yeah, there's Justin Guitar's very first beginner course video. Everything.
Hey, how you doing,
Oh
Justin?
shit, Justin is loud. Hold on. Justin's a loud boy.
Sandico here, and welcome
loud.
to my beginner
Hold on.
guitar course. Thank you very much for choosing me to
Okay.
be your guide
Oh god,
on this
wait, that's
most
too quiet. I hope
excellent
that's not too
adventure.
quiet.
Now, the lessons in this series are
Alright.
structured exactly the same as they would be if you came to have one-on-one
bet.
lessons with me. This first one is
like I
a
said,
little
I've already
bit longer
watched
than
these
the
first
others
few
because there's a
videos,
few
so-
really important things to explain right off the bat about reading
sir.
chord boxes, explaining some of the fundamentals, how you hold the guitar, holding picks, all of that sort of stuff is included in this very first lesson. So don't worry if it's a bit long, they're not all like that. I'm also going to give you a full practice routine explaining exactly what things you should be practicing for how long every day. If you want some extra fun to go with it, you can watch me learning guitar left-handed in the Nitsudge series, because I learned guitar left-handed to make sure that I could give you the best possible beginner guitar course, because I've just experienced all the stuff that you're about to experience. Now, if you came for a one-on-one lesson with me, the first thing that we would do is we'd have a little bit of a chat about your goals and ambitions on guitar while I tuned your guitar for you, but that's not really possible via the internet. So you're going to have to learn to tune your guitar on your own, and that's what we're going to do in the next lesson.
Oh shit, we're moving. We're moving. How do I... Should I click start this module? I should probably click that. Maybe? I'll click that. Okay. Okay.
Hey, how you doing? Justin here to show you how to get your guitar in tune. Now, if you're already confident that your guitar's in tune, you know exactly all about all this, you know how to use your tuner, then feel free to move on to the next lesson in my beginner's course. For those of you who are not really sure, a bit new to this, or want a little refresher, there are quite a few different ways to tune your guitar. When I grew up, it was pitch pipes. You had it's like a little kind of a harmonica with 6 things that you could blow in. It gave you the note, and you had to tune your guitar up. Electronic tuners made that a hell of a lot easier, which you can still buy, like standalone little, guitar tuners. You can also use apps. Most of the time, I tend to either use an app or a clip-on tuner. Now, clip-on tuners literally just clip onto the headstock of your guitar. You don't need to be plugged in. You don't need any sort of amplification. And they give you all of the information that you need to tune your guitar, and they're relatively cheap. So actually what I recommend is using a clip-on tuner.
So I got mine from Amazon when I bought the guitar. I bought everything from Amazon. It was like the cheapest shit. So I remember doing this before, and it's just been the hardest thing ever. So hopefully I'll have a better time.
No? So I've got two clip-on tuners here to demonstrate today. The first one is the TC Electronic Polytune, which can actually tune all 6 strings at the same time. We'll show you which one is out of tune. It's a very, very accurate tuner. It's the one that I use nearly all the time. I think it's great. A little bit on the expensive side maybe for a beginner, but you will last a long time with this tuner. You're probably not going to need another tuner anytime soon. Also very, very small, compact. I like that sort of stuff. I would normally have them around the back of the guitar, by the way, not the front. I've just stuck them at the front here to make it easier for me to film it. As well as that tuner, I went and bought myself what I think is probably the most common budget tuner. It's called a Snark. Very, very common tuner. Reasonably accurate, easy to use, all of that sort of stuff. So what I thought I'd do is just take you through actually what they look like and how to use the tuners. Now, most commonly, when you get a guitar, especially if it's straight out of the box, the strings will all be detuned a bit. So I'm just going to knock my strings varying amounts out of tune here so we can work on getting them back in tune. So let's start by tuning the thinnest string here. So if I'm going to play that first of all.
Okay, hold on.
Now that's saying it's the note D. The thinnest string needs to be the note E.
E. Thinnest string is E. Hold on, let me turn this on. Okay, actually mine's already on E. Alright, that's fine. Yeah.
Now E is after D, so we have to go up. Most times you're going to find that you tune up to a note, particularly if you've got a new guitar. The strings will have gone flat over time. So now I'm just looking here.
Sounds like it.
On this one, on the Snark, I'm looking for the blue line at the top with a little. It's got a little bit of a green edge to it as well. On this one, I want the little center thing to be green, not going onto the red, and this line in the middle to be relatively stable. Be difficult to get it exactly stable, I think, but there we go. That's got the E string in tune. Now, if we look at the second string, this needs to be the note B. At the moment, it's the note A.
Did you say B?
So we just keep going.
I think you said D. I don't know.
It needs to be the note B. At the moment,
it's B, right? Okay.
In tune. Now, if we look at the second string, this needs to be the note B. At the moment, it's the note A. So we just keep going up.
You said B, right?
It's showing A.
You said B. Okay, yeah. Oh man, mine is actually not bad.
A sharp. Now here we go, we're on a B. But you can still see it needs to go up. There we go, and we're accurately on the B. There we go. I think that's pretty good for the B. Okay, this one is showing the note F sharp. So less far to go here.
G. I'm guessing G.
There we go, that's pretty good.
G. Oh man, I guess it stayed pretty much in tune. Yeah, that's good. Let's see if
there's the note G, which is the third thinner string. Fourth string, this one showing a C sharp.
What is it supposed to be?
I'm just tuning it up. You always want to tune up to a note too, not down. So if I went too far, oh, oops, it's got to be D. I would actually go lower.
Okay, so it's got to be D. This one is a little far. Let's go on the Michael Jordan of guitar tuning.
And then back up. I think getting into the habit of always tuning up to a note is a really good idea. There we go. This one, oh, this one went right down. That's an F sharp. This one needs to be an A, the fifth string.
Fifth string's A. Oh, this one's way off. What the fuck? Oh, wait, never mind. I'm tripping. Weird, it like switches from F sharp. let's see.
Yeah, keep going up here to the note A. Here we go. You don't want to do it too fast, see? Or you'll miss the right note.
Okay.
There we go.
I think that's fine. Good. What's the last one?
There's an A, that's pretty good.
I don't know, I remember that.
That's a D, D sharp. We're looking for E.
Okay. I think this one's a little far now. From the two. Vibration, I believe. Closer. This one's just okay. Okay. I'm going way too far. It's just not giving me anything now. Oh, there we go. Got a D sharp. There it is. This is the one I always have the most trouble with. Okay, there we go. Never mind. So it's E, A, D, G, A, E. I remember the saying from one of the times I tried to learn it. It's like dynamite. Good. Bye. Let's go.
Again. Two outside strings on the guitar are both E's.
Let's go, baby. Turn the tuner off.
So there are a couple of common problems that beginners face when they're learning to tune their guitar. Using a tuner only really works when the guitar's roughly in tune. If it's really, really out of tune, like you had to replace a string, or you got a guitar out of your friend's loft and it's been there for a couple of years or whatever and it's really out, you're going to have to do a little bit of listening first, okay? You're going to have to put a string on.
This time, I've just, I've had this guitar for like forever. Like since, actually not that long, I guess. It's COVID and, you know, everyone picked up like guitar during COVID. I was just bored, I guess. And this time, I'm streaming it to keep myself accountable to keep doing it. So hopefully this time I'll learn it.
If you don't know how to change your strings, there's lessons
Also, like
on that
music,
on the
I
website
guess.
as well. There'll be a link to that in the description as well. But you're going to have to listen and put a, you know, get the string attached correctly and listen. And again, in the Tune Your Guitar series on the website, there's loads of different ways of tuning a guitar, not just using a tuner. So you want to, for that, in that circumstance, if the strings are really way out, then you want to use your ear as well.
Like, right now I'm listening to the new Suicide Boys album, but I like, oh man, what's that one? I don't know if you've heard of this rock band. I'm not sure if it's a band or a person. I listen to a lot of rock, a lot of hip hop. That's pretty much it, actually. I would like to say I listen to more, but... And, embarrassingly enough, I've been listening to Panic at the Disco recently, too.
Perhaps before a tuner, and just get them roughly in tune. You're going to have to listen to roughly how high or low the notes are of each individual string. Another common problem beginners face is finding it difficult to play just one string at a time. Nearly all tuners want to hear just one string at a time when you're doing your tuning. So if you've never used a pick before, it's a whole new thing. You go to try and pick this fourth string here. it's going to be fairly difficult. I know, because I've tried it left-handed, right? It's difficult to get just one string ringing out. The best solution, to do away with the pick altogether and just use your thumb. So let's say you want to tune this 5th string. You're going to rest your thumb on the 5th string there, and then you're going to strum, like push down with the thumb and leave the thumb resting on the string beneath it. Okay, technically this is called a rest stroke in classical guitar, but it doesn't really matter. It'll just help it keep it nice and quiet and give you a nice kind of the correct technique if you think about resting the thumb on the string below. Before you go to the next string, just mute it, and there you go, onto the next string. It doesn't really matter whether you start with a thicker string or you start with a thinner string, but if your guitar was very out of tune and you had to tune them all up or down a lot, then you might find you need to tune your guitar twice, because actually the neck moves backwards and forwards a little bit relative to the tension of the string. So if you've changed the tension of the strings considerably, the neck might have moved just a little bit. Usually a second tune will sort that out, no problem. If you're at all concerned about any of this stuff, I would urge you to go and check out my module on how to tune the guitar, because there's loads of different approaches that you can use.
I mean, as much as the next guy, I haven't really delved into their discography or anything. I like, what is it, Killing in the Name? It's a fun song.
Pedal, you can use apps, you can use a harmonica, you could tune to a piano, you can tune the guitar to itself if you're at a campfire and you've got nothing to tune to and no tuner. Okay, there are lots of different ways of doing it, and what you want to do is learn a couple of ways and then settle on the one that suits you best.
Well, I'm kind of fucked without a tuner because I don't know how they're supposed to sound yet, but okay, Justin. How to hold your guitar.
Hi, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to talk about posture and how to hold your guitar. Now, if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed learning to play guitar right-handed, which is also an option, I would recommend that you put your guitar on your right leg. Whether you're playing acoustic or electric, it doesn't really matter. It's possible to put the guitar on your left leg like this. It's kind of more of a classical approach. And there are some minor advantages to do with the access on the on the higher frets. But to be honest, as a beginner, you're not going to really reap the benefits of that kind of stuff. So I really recommend, much better off putting the guitar on you're right-handed. You're going to put it on your right leg, okay? And this arm will help hold the guitar in place. Now, if you've got an acoustic guitar, you'll probably find that your arm actually sits on the top of the guitar. If you're playing an electric guitar, your forearm sits on the kind of the front, the top and the front of the guitar. Now, it wants to grip a little bit on that. What you don't want is the weight of your whole arm on your shoulder all the time. It'll make your shoulder real sore. So you want it to be, your arm to be resting somewhere. If you're wearing a long sleeve shirt or a jumper, you'll find that you won't get much grip with the forearm. Definitely, if I play with a long sleeve shirt or a jumper, my shoulder gets a little bit sore from having to hold the weight of my arm all the time. So probably you want to at least roll your sleeves up or wear a t-shirt, whatever, and try and get used to the feeling of this arm being relaxed. Okay, being relaxed is going to be a theme that we revisit quite often with the guitar, because a lot of the things, technical things, really rely on you being relaxed as possible, as much as you can.
God,
now,
so tense,
the holding of this arm and the curvature of the bottom part of the guitar should help you make the guitar feel quite solid. This kind of guitar's got a bit of a cutaway in the back there, which probably sits into your body as well, into your torso.
Like the same guitar.
What you don't want is this hand to be holding up the guitar at all. Okay, so the guitar is held by your arm and that cutaway resting on your leg, or a strap. If you wanted to use a strap, you could use a strap too. But this part of the guitar is not supported by this hand. You're not going to be able to play your chords and change chords and all of that while you're supporting the guitar neck. Okay, so what you want to do is just experiment a little bit. Put the guitar on the right leg, put your arm down, see if you can, get used to the feeling of the guitar and making sure that this hand isn't supporting that neck. Now, there's a few things that beginners do all of the time, and I'm guilty of it myself. One thing that you don't want to do is to lean the guitar over. The reason that you don't want to lean the guitar over is because it also means that you're going to bring your wrist around like this, and you're going to end up with getting probably quite a sore wrist. All the tendons in your fingers run through your wrist. Can also cause some problems with carpal tunnel syndrome if you over-practiced. Unlikely for beginners to get that kind of thing, but doing this would be a real, that's a really bad idea. You definitely don't want to be leaning the guitar over. In order to look at your fingers though, which is something you're going to want to do, you're probably going to find yourself doing this a lot. It's always something I've said to beginner guitar players. Don't lean over like that. You're going to give yourself back problems and neck problems. Don't do it.
No,
It's
that's
really,
exactly how I was leaning over.
Until I started learning myself left-handed, and I watch myself back, and I'm doing it all the time. And if I try and sit up, I find it really difficult. So what I would recommend is to try not to do this as much as possible, like craning your head forward to look at your fingers. You're going to do it to a certain extent because you need to see where your fingers are going. You need to make sure they're in the right places, on the right strings, all of that sort of stuff. Just try to keep yourself in as good a posture, like an upright posture as you can. Okay, try and keep your back straight, sit up. For me, I've been playing guitar a long time, and I know that it's really important if you're playing a lot of guitar to keep your posture good, or you will end up with a sore neck or back problems. So try and keep yourself upright. Try and avoid what I call craning like this. But you're probably going to find you do that a little bit, no matter how much I tell you, because it's kind of necessary to see where your fingers are going. You know, this guitar malarkey, especially the first lessons, it's not super easy. So be forgiving with yourself. Don't worry about it if you're doing it too much, but just bear in mind that you probably want to be sitting up as straight as you can for your practice
blazing
sessions.
through these lessons. Come on, give me the next one.
Hey, how you doing? Justin here. In this lesson, I'm going to tell you about how to avoid so much finger pain by using correct finger placement.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Now,
when I tried to
where
learn
you
before.
put your finger within a
This is about
fret
where I stopped last time
changes
around
how much pressure you need to apply with that finger in order to get a good sounding note.
Oh,
And as a beginner guitar player, the first few weeks particularly, it hurts. Right? You're pressing your nice, soft finger skin down on a thin piece of metal. That's just an unpleasant thing to do.
I agree.
First few weeks when I was learning left-handed, I couldn't believe how much it hurt. I've played guitar for so long that I'd completely forgotten. It was one of the most revealing things I found about learning to play left-handed was it just really hurt. The first couple of weeks was just really painful. And I know what I'm doing, and I know all of this finger placement stuff too. So it's really, really important that you get your fingers in the best possible place. And I'm going to show you a little exercise now that I want you to actually do, play along with me, so that you can experience it. And by experiencing it, I'm fairly sure that you'll be pretty careful about your finger placement as we move forward on this course, particularly when we're learning our first chords. So I want you to put your first finger in the 5th fret. Okay, so just counting up, there's the first space. That's the 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. You'll almost certainly have a dot in that fret.
Yeah,
and I want you to put it on the 3rd string. So starting with the thinner string, that's string 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Now we're going to start by putting the finger right up next to the 5th fret, the 5th piece of metal.
Dude, I'm excited to get calluses.
Closest to your body.
Oh, where you get calluses from?
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to use your thumb
Probably won't be excited when I'm
just to play that string, that one note. And I want you to see how lightly you can press with your finger to still get a good sounding note. So if I just gradually lift off my finger, now it's too little and I'm not getting the note. Pressing a little bit more, there we go.
Hard,
Now that's I'm not really pressing very hard at all. You can hear if I go slightly looser, it gets all buzzy and stuff, okay? So just finding, experiencing how much pressure, how little pressure actually I need to do to press down to get that note sounding good. Now I want you to move your first finger to the back of the fret. So it's still within that zone, but it's kind of at the back end. And I want you to try and do the same thing.
Ew.
Wow, I have to, it's like 10 times harder I have to press to get that note really good. You can probably see my fingers going a little bit white there. Okay, compared to here, where it's just, it's really softly pressing down the string, and here, that same amount, I don't even get the note out. Now, the reason this is so important is that every time you play a chord and I ask you to put your finger in a particular fret, you want to try and get it up as close to the fret as you can. That's the position where you're going to use the least amount of pressure to get a good note. In these early stages on the guitar, you want good notes, but you also don't want much finger pain. So trying to get your finger positioned exactly in the right place will mean that you press less hard, and therefore
every day. I'm hoping to do it every day. So, you know, whenever you can tune in around this time, right when I get out of work, I'll be here.
Have less pain in your fingers, you'll be able to do more practice, you'll enjoy the whole experience more. So this finger placement is a really, really big deal.
I have to read guitar chord boxes. Let's go.
Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to check out how to read a chord diagram, something you're going to find very helpful on your guitar journey, I can assure you. So let's start by having a look at a chord diagram for a D chord, which is the first chord we're going to learn today. So let's get one of those up. There we go. Now, you'll see that there are 6 vertical lines, and these represent the 6 strings on the guitar. Okay, I often think like if I'm holding the guitar up like this, you'll see that.
I'm assuming you start from the bottom is what he's doing, because I was always starting from the top when I didn't know what I was doing. So if it's like 1, 2, 3, I start from the bottom.
We've got the thicker string on this side and the thinner string on the other side of the chord box. Now, some chord boxes have a thicker line for the thicker string and a thinner line for the thinner string. That's not always the case. Sometimes the lines are going to be exactly the same thickness all the time. Now, the horizontal lines represent the frets on the guitar. Okay, so you'll often see here, these are the frets going along like this.
And the frets are the metal bars,
at the top of the guitar,
rectangles.
particularly for beginners, you're going to see this thing. This is called the nut of the guitar.
Okay.
Now, this is either represented by a different colored line, sometimes usually like a black line or a darker line. Sometimes it's a double line. Sometimes there's nothing really that indicates that it's the nut at all. So a little bit, it depends on which diagrams that you see. I tend to favor the thick black line to represent the nut in the diagrams that you'll see on my website. On the neck diagram, you're going to see some dots, and these represent where to put your fingers. You'll very commonly see a number next to these dots or inside the dots, and these tell you which fingers are going to press down where on the guitar neck. Now, we don't tend to use the thumb very much on the guitar. If you do use it later on, you're going to see it's notated with a T for thumb.
Oh,
surprise.
That's some pro shit.
Finger 1 is our index finger.
Fingers are too small.
Finger 2 is your driving finger.
Yo!
Finger 3
Yo,
is
Justin flipped us off!
Finger 2 is
your
driving finger. Finger 3 is your ring finger. And finger 4 is your pinky. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and T for thumb. But you're not going to worry about using the thumb in those early beginner stages for sure. If you've ever learned piano before, make sure that you don't get confused, because with piano they call thumb the first finger. Confusingly, it's not a finger, it's a thumb. It's T. So at the top of the diagram, you'll also see some X's and some zeros. Now, an X at the top of a string means that you won't play that string. Now, you'll notice here with the D chord, we've got 2 X's on the thickest 2 strings, so we're not going to play the thickest 2 strings at all. And then we've got a 0, which will mean that we play that string open with that. And playing a string open means that we're going to play the string with no fingers on it. Now, on the D chord, then you'll see that we've got our first finger down in the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, third finger down in the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and the 2nd finger down in the 2nd fret of the thinner string. Don't worry about that. We're going to go through that in a whole lot more detail in just a second. But that's the basic idea of learning to read a chord diagram, and we're going to be using those right through this course.
Okay. I feel like we have unfinished business with the D chord.
Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to talk a bit about guitar picks. Now, you don't have to start your guitar journey by using a guitar pick. When I was learning left-handed, I found that the first couple of weeks I just wasn't into using a pick. I just found it, frankly, a little bit difficult to pick the right strings, and I was much more worried about getting my chords right.
I definitely want to use
using a pick is a really good idea, and particularly when we get into strumming patterns and playing songs, using a pick really can make things sound a little bit better. So I want to take you through the general idea of what picks are, how to hold them, all that sort of stuff. Now, for a beginner guitar player, I would recommend that you use the absolute thinnest pick that you can find. The one that I use is made by Jim Dunlop. It's called USA Nylon 0.46 millimeters, and it's like a piece of.
0.46 is his thinnest, right? Okay, so we got a 0.81. I don't. That feels pretty thick. I don't know. Let's see. We got a 1.2. Oh gosh. Let's see what these sort of orangey red ones are. 0.7. Okay, that's the smallest so far. 0.96. Nope. I'm assuming it's gonna be the white one. 0.46. Okay. Batmoo's saying to play a chord, and technically, my teacher Justin hasn't taught me a chord, but I saw a little diagram he was showed the D chord. Now, he said the first two you don't play, right? So, fingies like this. Okay, and then you play the fourth one open. Okay, that doesn't sound right. Hold on. That can't be right. Up a fret is up towards the nut. I'm assuming up is towards the nut, or is that the other way? Towards the not nut. This is. Hold on, I feel like that finger's. How the fuck do you do this? Oh! Yo! That sounds pretty cool. Is that alright? Okay, that sounds right. Now. Okay, hold on. There's one more I have to check just to make sure. Oh no, this one's way too thick. Okay, I've got my pick chosen,
Paper.
Justin.
You can totally fold it in half. It's really super flexible. Very easy to use. It doesn't get tangled up in the strings. You can hold it nice and tightly, and it doesn't, it's got a lot of click in it, which is actually kind of a nice thing, especially if you're playing acoustic guitar. But it's really forgiving, and if you're a beginner guitar player, I can't recommend strongly enough going to your local music store and getting the thinnest pick that they have as being the first pick that you use for this sort of stuff.
I think this is the exact
They're
same size. They're
a little bit less accurate when you're picking out one note at a time. So for that reason, while you're at the store getting your super thinnest pick, I would recommend that you get one or two other picks as well. Now, I also use this one, a Jim Dunlop USA nylon again, 0.60 millimeters, which is still quite flexible. You can't really fold it in half. It's still a very flexible pick. It's a nylon one. It's still got a little bit of click, but not as clicky as the white one. Which the clickiness gives you a kind of a percussive effect while you play, which can be a really nice thing, particularly on acoustic guitar. The good thing about having the slightly thicker pick is that it's a little easier to control. Like when you're doing your chord practice, you strum, pick out the notes individually one at a time. It's a little easier to control the tip of the pick if you're going to use a pick for that kind of thing.
Okay.
So the pick that I use most of the time, particularly on acoustic guitar, it's definitely the thickest pick I would recommend for beginners. It's this orange Tortex kind of pick. This is a Justin Guitar branded one, but there's lots of different varieties of this type of material around. Okay. It's kind of flexible. You can bend it a little bit, but it's not like the others. It's a lot stiffer than the other two picks that I've talked about. This one's really good for picking out individual notes if I'm doing the chord practice, or any sort of riffs or anything like that. Using a thicker pick is definitely a good idea, but as a beginner guitar player, I think you would find this pick very difficult for strumming. Okay, for learning to strum, you definitely want to be going for your as thin a pick as you can possibly find.
Yes, sir.
When I'm playing for real, most of the time I'm using this called a blue chip pick, super ridiculously expensive thing, and these don't move at all. Like there's absolutely no flexibility in this pick whatsoever. It's absolutely solid. When I'm playing with this, I can hold it really lightly. I really like the sound of it. It's a fantastic pick. It's also like $40 for a guitar pick, which would be crazy for a beginner. When you get a really expensive pick, you don't lose them as much as one thing that I've found. But you're much better off as a beginner starting just with these, your regular super thin picks. But get a few, okay? Try out different materials because everybody likes a different pick. I would recommend that you go really super thin as a beginner, but what color and what brand and what material is something that you can make a personal choice with. I do recommend buying a bunch at the store. They're not very expensive, so go buy 10 different really thin picks and experiment a little bit and see which ones you like the feel of the most. One thing that is really important is how you hold the pick, and ideally you want the pick kind of coming out of the side of your thumb, okay? So you don't want to be holding it like this, where it's coming out of the end of your thumb. You want it out of the side of your thumb. And this is really important when it comes to strumming. Okay. So ideally it wants to sit kind of like it's coming out of your first finger, but out of the side of your thumb. So you can see there, It's the first finger is positioned kind of pointing straight down, but when we look around this side, it's coming out of the side of your thumb. Now, you might find as you progress as a guitar player that you want a bit less coming out of the side of the thumb, but as a beginner you probably want like a good centimetre coming out. It doesn't really matter at this stage how much is coming out of the side of your thumb, but I would give it probably that amount. It'll be the same even if you're using these other bigger picks or thicker picks. It should be coming out of the side of your thumb like that, still pointing. So if you get with your first finger, put the pick on your first finger and then wrap your thumb around, you can see the first finger is just pointing down almost at the end of the pick, but it's still coming out of the side of your thumb. It is perfectly okay to decide not to use a guitar pick for the first part of your beginner journey. However, learning to strum with a pick is a lot easier than learning to strum with your fingers. Now, it doesn't work for everyone. There are some fantastic guitar players that don't use a guitar pick at all. Mark Knopfler, Jeff Beck, loads of others.
I know those people.
But in the early stages, I'd recommend that you have a go at learning with a guitar pick and learning to strum. You can always decide to ditch it later. But definitely for the beginner stages, when you start strumming a lot, maybe not the first lesson, maybe not the second, but definitely by the third
video
lesson,
on how to hold
I
the
would
guitar
recommend
pick.
that
Next
you're
up, a
exploring using a
17-minute
pick.
video on how to strum without one. All right, Justin. All right. Send me mixed
Hey,
signals
how you
here.
doing? Justin here. Today we're going to be talking about strumming without a pick. It's something I get asked about a whole lot. It's kind of a big subject, really, for most beginners. I think they tend to turn to it because they can't use a pick, and I don't think that's the kind of the right option. If you're struggling to use a pick, I think you want to try using a very thin pick and struggle with it a little bit longer, because I think for real beginners it's a bit easier and better in the long term to be able to strum with a pick. However, when I'm strumming the guitar, more
honestly,
than 50% of the time I choose to strum without a pick.
Should we just like skim this video? It's like
there's a lot more options.
I'm not even really
going
to strum
without a pick as well, as in the ways that you do it. When you strum with a pick, most people tend to hold the pick the same way. My idea of finding a way that works, obviously, right? It's quite a round sound compared to if I use a pick.
Quite a round sound.
It's kind of louder and a bit brighter. So if I use my thumb, my hand a little flatter, that I can still get the fleshy part. It's kind of this little, the fleshy part underneath my thumb that's doing the strum, not the nail like that, the fleshy part. Now, because generally you don't probably want the up strum to be bright.
Does your guitar sound bad?
Tends to be more one way to do it. So there's the right way of doing it mostly. Of course, it's not quite that black and white, but there's mostly the right way to do it, and then ways that are maybe not so good. But with this fingers thing, there's a few more options, and therefore. Now, if you're going to strum flesh, nail, flesh. Now, it's kind of more musical than to have the nail on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4, and the fleshy part.
I kind of don't hate actually using the back of my fingernail. That's kind of nice. Cool way of strumming a guitar without a pick. All right, we'll just get.
Okay, so that way it's like quite a nice one again for beginners if you're playing or you drop. Actually, any different to just use
and the bass note with
4. So thumb down, up with the first finger. Thumb up, down. Thumb down, up with the first finger.
I might be wrong.
Up, down with the first finger.
But I feel like this applies. No, I guess that doesn't make sense. I was gonna say I feel like this applies more to acoustic guitar, but I mean, I guess it applies to both. I don't know. Oh, he's going in. That's why he's the master and I'm the student.
This is just one. There's infinite number of patterns that you can get into with
okay, well, let me learn how to
and all of that sort of stuff all at the same time. But just that thinking about the angle, just take it slowly and see if you can notice if something's going wrong. If you're getting one of the strums is too loud, or you're getting a bit of nail, or
do this. Okay. Oh, okay. Go back to module 0. Oh, right here. Next module. Let's go. A and D chords. Let's go, baby. How to play the D chord. Let's go, baby. Yeah, that last module is as far as I ever got. I think the second time I tried to learn. The first time it wasn't even with Justin. Second time it was, and that was the last. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this every day, and I completely stopped.
Hey,
So
how you
this
doing,
is brand
Justin?
new.
Here, are you ready? It's time to learn your first chord,
Already,
which is going to
Justin.
be a D chord. So let's get that chord diagram up, and let's get started. So you want to always put your fingers down in finger order. The
Little does he
first
know, I already know how to do
finger
this.
number 1, this is going to go in the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So you can think there's the 1st fret, there's the 2nd fret, and it's string 1 would be the thinnest, 2 would be the next one up, and the 3rd one up will be the 3rd string. So first finger is going down. Remember that we want to place it right up next to the fret as well. Okay, so first finger in the 1, 2, 3rd string in the 1, 2, 2nd fret.
So
The 2nd finger is going in the same fret on the thinnest
tough.
string. So you want to put
I
then
swear
down
last
the
time I
2nd
hold
finger.
on, let me just double check this. I'm sorry. I swear there was another video. No, this is sponsor one. Never mind. So there's another one that was like, this is how you put your fingers on the chords. But maybe I'm tripping.
Finger. It's going to, you would leave your first finger down normally, but I'm
So
just using to show
make
you.
it come out of the
Remember,
left
you want it, of course, up
of your
right up
thumb.
next to the fret if you can. That means that your fingers will be in an
Put
angle.
your
Of course, you
fingies
can't
there.
keep them square on, otherwise your first finger is going to be back too far. So you can see the fingers are at a bit of an angle there. That's totally fine. So first
Arm
finger
rests are
first,
kind of fucking in the way.
second finger down next on the thinner string, and then third finger is going to reach up to play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, so the string in between the 1st and 2nd fingers. Now, I'm making that look pretty easy, but it's very likely the first time you try and do it, your 3rd finger is going to be back here somewhere. You'll find it very difficult to get the 3rd finger up on the fret. That's okay, that's just a normal beginner problem, is to try and work on that flexibility of the fingers and the stretch there. So if you're just back here, it's okay, but try and slide that 3rd finger up so it's right up next to the
This
fret.
sounds a little different, right?
In the
This is me just
first
with my
weeks
finger.
of learning guitar, your fingers are going to hurt. There's no
And
way
this is the
around it.
thing.
Pressing your fingers down
Yeah, I
on the
guess.
metal is just, it's going to get a little bit uncomfortable. So what you can do to help is not press down until you really need to. Now, particularly when you're learning chords like this,
must be what I'm thinking.
you put your first finger down first, but you don't need to press real hard right away. Just place it down and then get it in the right position, but we're not pressing real hard. We want to leave it there, just rough. I'm not even touching the string down on the metal yet. I'm just kind of putting it in position. Then I'm going to get my 3rd finger down, roughly in position.
Okay.
Then I'm going to get my 3rd finger down and try and get it up there. And only when I'm ready to actually play the chord am I actually going to press my fingers down. Once you've got your fingers in the right position, you need to test all of the notes in your chord and make sure that each note is ringing out clearly. Now for the D chord, we're not going to play the thickest 2 strings. So the first note that you want to test is the open 4th string. Now you might find it sounds like this. In which case it's going to be the fault of the tip of the first finger is just up a little bit too high and touching the 4th string. Because if it's touching even the smallest amount, the note will be dead. So you need to bring that first finger down just a little bit to make sure that your open 4th string is ringing out clearly. The next note that we'll test will be the 3rd string. Okay, so we're now having to press down hard with our fingers at this point.
I get to that last
If this note sounds like this, it means you're not pressing hard enough, or your finger is too far back. You can hear as I move it forward. Now we've got our nice clear note. If that note is muted, it could also be that the tip of the 3rd finger is up a little bit too high and touching that string as well.
Okay, so here's what I'm doing.
to-
This finger is encroaching on the territory of the last one. So it's making the last one sound like this. That's gonna be hard to get used
really
to.
be aware
Fat
of what
I guess.
fingers are touching where. The 3rd finger doesn't want to be touching that 3rd string or it's going to mute it. So we've got that one sounding good. We've got 1st finger sounding good. Now the note with the on the 2nd string played with the 3rd finger. Again, very common to get this kind of problem where the 3rd finger is too far back. So try your best to get it forward. There's not really any fingers that might mute that string. So the most common problem on that 2nd string is either not pressing hard enough or the 3rd finger being too far from the fret. Now the hardest note for most beginners is to get this thinner string ringing out. The problem is usually the 3rd finger laying down a little bit too far. So you need to make sure that I'm just bringing my hand forward a little bit. I'm exaggerating now, but bringing the knuckles of my hand here forward a bit will help get onto the tip of the third finger there. Okay, so that's really the key thing to get this note ringing out clearly is the placement of the third finger. If it's too flat, lying down too much like that, it just mutes that thinner string. So you have to make sure that they're all right on the tips of the fingers. I'm just going to press really hard for a second.
I remember what he said earlier about not pressing
where the strings are actually touching. If I just hold my fingers up now, you can see where those lines are. They're right on the ends. Okay, that's exactly where it'll hurt. Now, one thing that often concerns beginners when they're learning their chords for the first time is the placement of the thumb. Now, you'll often see me with my thumb around the top of the guitar neck, but that's not what I recommend for beginners. I'd recommend that you keep your thumb right around the back of the guitar. Now, the reason I recommend that for beginners, even though it's not what I do, is it's really important that you build up the strength in this muscle here between your thumb and your first finger. We're going to need that for doing these things called bar chords later on, where we play further up the neck. And if you play like this with your thumb over the top right at the beginning, that muscle won't get worked at all. And when you come to learn your bar chords, you'll find it really, really difficult. Okay. It's a lot easier to learn here with the thumb at the back of the neck. It'll help give your fingers a good position as well. Anyway, hello Ziggy. Oh, my dog's finally woken up from her nap and come to join me right in the middle of a lesson. Thanks, Ziggy. Say hello to the people of the internet and go back to bed. Would you go back to bed for me? Would you go back to bed? Come on, I'll play with you later. Come on, bed. Thank you for the visit. Now go to bed. Bed. Come on. Off you go. There you go. Good girl. By keeping your thumb around the back of the neck, it keeps all your fingers in a nice position. It'll stop you kind of grabbing the guitar neck too much. Ideally, you don't want the palm of your hand here, where your fingers meet the palm of your hand. Ideally, you don't really want that touching the guitar neck at all, but definitely not with the first few chords that we're learning. In fact, I know it might look, if I'm playing like this, that my hand is touching, but if I just extend my fingers out, you'll see there's always a little gap here between my first finger and the guitar neck. It doesn't want to be touching there. It wants to, the fingers are there, and that's for all of the chords. Like that one, again, it looks like it is, but if I reveal it, there is still a very small gap there between the kind of the knuckle, inside knuckle of my first finger and the guitar neck. It doesn't want to touch. There might be times later on in your journey where you do that, where I use my thumb when I play chords quite often, but that's not the kind of thing that you want to start off learning. So when it comes time to practice your chord, I'm going to give you a little system I call chord perfect practice. It's got 4 stages. The first one is finger placement. So we're going to first of all place first finger down, and then second finger down, then third finger down. Still not pressing hard, I'm just getting them in the right position. Now I'm going to press down, I'm going to have a go at strumming the chord.
Here we go.
And now I'm going to go through and make adjustments to try and get the chord as perfect as I can. So already I played the 5th string there, I didn't want to really play that, so I'm not going to play the thickest 2 strings, then I'm going to play the 4th string. That's not really working, so let's get the first finger down there a bit, there we go. Now we've got that, that's good. Now first finger, that one's sounding okay. The note on the 2nd string, okay, let's try and get the 3rd finger up a little higher.
That thin string, bro.
Okay, we're going good so far. Okay, 3rd finger needs to go more on the point. Okay, we've got it. We've made our adjustments, the chord's sounding good. And then the last part, we just want to do a strum. And we want to tell ourselves, hand, this is how I want you to go when we're playing the D chord. Okay, really try and make a mental picture of where your fingers are, what it feels like, what it looks like. As you do that final strum, really reinforce the correct finger placement of that individual chord.
Okay. Oh, no. A chord? Oh god, I don't know when to practice. Oh wait, it might tell me here. Maybe I should practice, or should I learn the A chord so I have 2 chords to practice? Oh god, I don't know when to stop.
Back with you to learn another chord. This time we're going to check out how to play the A chord. Now, it's worth bearing in mind at this point, if you're new to the whole guitar thing, that you're going to find these chords really difficult the first little while. Okay, the first week or two, it's going to feel really impossible. Like, I can't do it, this is just too hard, I'm not built for playing guitar. Pretty much everyone feels like that, and that's okay. Don't really worry about it. It just takes a little bit of perseverance, making sure you stick with your practice and practicing, hopefully, the right thing. So let's go and have a look at our A chord. So here is our A chord. You can see that we've got 3 fingers all crammed into the same fret. Now, I want to point out that the traditional way of learning
hell?
A chord is like this. All three fingers, 1, 2, 3, all in a line. But you can probably already see that first finger there is very, very far away from the fret. So to make that note sound clear, you'd have to press really, 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 really hard. And that will make your finger hurt. So the fingering that I teach, it's got some other advantages as well. But you can see straight away now that these two fingers, fingers 2 and fingers 3, are right up next to the fret. And first finger sneaks in between them.
I mean, you might not remember, Moo, but like, when should I stop learning new chords and just practice the old ones? Or like, does it even matter? Or you just like, or maybe like a chord a day or two, I don't know. Maybe he'll tell me.
And is in fact a lot
This one looks
closer
hard,
to
though.
the fret
I'll be
than
honest.
any of the fingers were, or than even the middle finger was here in the traditional fingering. So it's also much better because, like, changing to the D chord, look, first finger can stay in the same place when we're moving to a D chord and stay on the same string when we move to an E chord, okay, which are going to be the next chord that we learn. So lots of advantages to learning A chord this way.
A.
If you've learned it that way in the past and you're redoing a beginner's guitar course, then it's not a terrible thing to learn it that way. That's how I learned to play an A chord, but I think you're much better off learning this way. So let's start off fingers 1 first of all. It's going to go in the middle roughly of the fret, okay, maybe slightly toward the second fret there, but it's the second fret, third string. So 1, 2, third string.
I love that. Go with your
more or less the same place it was for our D chord,
Fuck yeah.
but just back a little bit, you know, half a centimeter
I'll
or
do
something
these
like
two,
that.
and then I'll just
Second finger is then going to reach over the
grind
top,
them a bunch.
and it's going to go down right next to the fret on the 4th string, and third finger is going to reach now underneath, still in the same fret on the 2nd string. We'll feel a little bit cramped the first few times you do it.
in there, Justin.
It feels a lot better after a week's practice, I can assure you. Okay, let's take it off, do that one more time. So first finger in the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then slightly not right up at the fret, so just pull it back just a little bit. And the second finger will reach over right up next to the fret, 2nd fret, 4th string, third finger, 2nd fret, 2nd string. Now we're not playing the thicker string for the A chord, so we start by testing out the 5th string. If that's not ringing out correctly, it's almost certainly 2nd finger being a little bit too high and muting it. So make sure you're using the tip of the 2nd finger there, and it's not sitting too high and muting the 5th string. Now we go on to the 4th string, which is the note played here by the 2nd finger.
Oh gosh. Let me try this again. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. That's not good. I think there we go. Pushing so hard. Maybe I should have pushed so hard. And then let me see if I didn't forget. Now the D chord is super easy in comparison. I feel like. Shit. Oops.
If that note's not ringing out clearly, it's almost certainly that you're not pressing hard enough, okay? Because the position reaching over the first finger there, it has to be right up next to the fret. You might find if you've gone too far that it starts to sound a little dead. Not buzzy, but just dead. So here's the good note. Here's it. If you cross over too far, it goes a bit dead. So just behind is what you want that one to be. The note here on the 3rd string If you're not getting that one, it's probably again just not pressing hard enough with the first finger. So try and really sneak the first finger up there in between the other two fingers, but without pushing the other two fingers past the fret. Okay, it might sound like this. That's not pressing hard enough. Now press still a bit rattly, a little bit harder. There we go. And we've got the good one. The third finger should be right up next to the fret anyway. Because of the position of the fingers, most people will find that that note's probably one that's not going to need too much attention. Should be okay. Although the hardest one is to follow, which is the thinner string. Now, the third finger, all of the fingers are cramped up, and especially if you've got big hands, it's going to take a little bit of fiddling around with the hand position to get this one ringing out nice and true. The most common problem by far with the A chord is the third finger just laying slightly over too far and muting the thinner string.
My fingies.
When you're practicing your A chord, of course you go through that same chord perfect program. So you've placed the fingers first finger, second finger, third finger. You're not pressing too hard first of all. Remember, just getting them in the right place.
That's fine.
And then we do a strum. And then we try and figure out what went wrong and reposition things. So that one, tip of the second finger come down a bit there. That one's okay. That's not ringing out at all. So first finger, let's get that snuck up.
Okay.
Third finger's okay. Up on the tip more. And then we've got that. Once we've tested all of the notes, we do that final strum. And we're going to tell ourselves, that's how I want you to go when I'm playing the A chord. The best way of practicing this chord, and every chord in fact that you learn in the future, is a little bit often. Try and avoid the temptation of spending ages on the one chord, pressing down real hard all the time, giving yourself finger pain, not doing any of the other fun stuff that you could be practicing. Much better off sticking to a proper routine where you time yourself and you do 2, 3, 5 minutes, whatever, little bursts of practice where you can play it, take it off, put it down, on and off, getting used to what the chord feels like, practicing getting it right, and then stop and move on to another thing. Okay, or have a little break, give your fingers a bit of a rest. Don't feel that pressure of like really going hard on learning a particular chord. Actually, the benefits are a lot less than the benefit that you'll get from small amounts of regular practice.
Okay, the next video is how to use anchor fingers. Hold on, I feel like I should. Should I just yoink? I think I'm gonna yoink all of his little pictures. Yes, I'll just have I'll bookmark this. Okay. I feel like this will be the most boring bit of all of this. It's just, ooh, now he's staring at his fingers forever. But I guess it's what you gotta do. He did say not to overdo one chord, but. Ah, fuck, that last one. Oh. Then let me do D chord real quick. Imagine. Kind of forgot. There it is. Whew. Fuck. Now back to the other one, to the A chord. That's something I always have a hard time with, is remembering what they're fucking called. I know something's wrong. Something feels wrong here. Hold on. Ah, there it is. It's that lead string, man. Let's watch another one for funsies. What the hell is an anchor finger, Justin?
Hey, how you doing, Justin? Back with you again for a lesson all about anchor fingers. Now, I kind of touched on it there when I was talking about the A chord, in that the first finger is in the same fret for both our A chord and a D chord. And whenever we're changing chords, and we can keep a finger either on the same fret or on the same string at least, we can refer to it as an anchor finger, and it makes changing chords a lot easier. So the common kind of progression...
I'll try that. You said it makes a really nice other chord. Let's see, how does this go? It's like this, and this one way up here. And then strum the same strings, I'm assuming. Fucking this up. My fat middle finger. There it is. Oh, it'd be so nice to take my first finger off. Like, yeah, man. That finger right there. Okay, yeah, after this video, I'll practice those a little bit.
For beginners, it's the first thing, the first hurdle that you have to overcome is the finger pain. Okay, it's going to hurt a little bit. Probably most of the first lesson, you're just more worried about the finger pain than anything else. The very next thing, the next problem, is changing between the chords fast enough.
Oh,
okay,
fuck.
that becomes the next obstacle.
Started that.
That's something that we're going to work on again in this lesson. The anchor fingers thing is one of the ingredients that'll help you learn to make your changes really fast and really smooth. So let's have a little bit of a close-up look at the anchor finger that we can use today for the change between the A chord and the D chord. So let's start off with our D chord. We've got the fingers in position now. I'm not pressing hard. I've got them in the right place. But if I strummed right now, I'm not even getting a sound out of that chord, okay? I'm not trying to press the fingers down. I'm just trying to get them in the right position.
Ready?
Again, we've got enough time we're going to spend pressing down our soft fingers on the hard metal strings. We want to do any practice that we can where we're practicing just pressing the fingers really lightly. And practicing this chord change, the anchor finger, we don't need to press hard, okay? It makes it even, in fact, a little harder. It's easier if you keep your fingers nice and relaxed. So try and get your fingers in position. First finger, second finger, third finger. Now to move to the A chord, we leave first finger down and we lift second and third fingers up.
Oh shit, I wasn't
We
ready.
need to slide
Just chill.
first finger back just a little bit, and then we're going to put down the second finger and put down the
Oh, so you
third
don't-
finger, and we've got our A chord.
Okay,
I'm not
you
even going to
move
worry
your
about
first
strumming
finger.
it when we're working on
Gotcha,
our
gotcha, gotcha,
anchor
gotcha.
finger practice.
Gotcha.
We're just going to leave first finger down and lift second and third fingers back up. Slide the first finger forward
Then
a
you go
bit.
back.
Put down
Oh,
second
okay.
finger
I see you.
and third finger. Again, we're not pressing hard.
I see
Lift
you.
off second and third finger,
Okay.
slide the
Okay.
first finger back a bit, second finger, third finger. That's our A chord. Second and third finger off, leave first finger down,
see
slide
you.
it up a bit, second
Okay.
finger, third finger. Off,
Fuck.
slide it back, put them down. Off, slide them forward, put them down. This is the anchor finger practice. Literally doing this. You don't have to worry about
Literally.
strumming the chord. You don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. We're just trying to develop a kind of a fluid movement between the two chords using our anchor finger to help guide where the other fingers go. Now, eventually, you'll find that the fingers can find their own way there pretty easily. But that takes a little bit of
really
practice
good
beyond
practice.
the anchor finger into a thing I call the 1 minute changes.
Okay, about an hour in my first lesson. I'm gonna go pee real quick, and it's probably just gonna be like a couple minutes of practicing those two chords. I'll be right back. Oh man, I forgot I made a cute little BRB screen. I remember to check it out. Look at this little guy. I made this guy. Forgot, and it's unused. Fuck, whatever. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna practice the D and the A chords for now. I think I'll do that for now. I won't practice changing too much because I'm looking at these videos, and the next one is 1 minute changes exercise, and I don't know if I'm. We'll see how I feel. I'm just gonna practice those for a bit. Okay. Fuck. I walked away for 2 seconds. Forgot how to make a D chord. Hi, Nacho. Say what's up, Nacho. Okay. Oh, he's biting the. Hold on, he's biting the cord. Gotta get used to getting that ring finger off that bottom string. Nacho, don't bite that, bro. He's not a dog. He acts like a dog. Check him out. He's a kitty cat. Nacho. I guess he's sitting there now. Get that. Okay. Alright. I guess we're taking a Nacho break. He doesn't want to let me. Nacho, look, bro, this is the D chord. Wow. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay. Here, put it up higher so you can't get it. I have all my picks sitting here, and he's trying to knock them down. Okay. Don't fall. Pick like this. It's this ring finger. Luke is here too. I guess they both want to show up. I don't know if you can see him. He's right here. Hi, baby. Yeah, you can see him. He's right there. Okay. Yeah, it's this one consistently. At least I know what I have to work on. Ow. You hurt, bro. How'd you do that? You guys should have formed a band. Fuck yeah. He wants what Nacho had. Alright, bro. Alright. Dude, your butt is on the chords, dude. Oh god, you're falling, man. Okay. You wanna play? He's playing with his face. Ow! Why you do that? That hurts. Stop! Look, Luca. Hi, Luca. I should get a cat cam. Their little bed is right there. Can't really see it. Should get a little cat cam. Okay. Fuck. It's gonna take a lot of practice. Right there. I've gotta do this. But then it doesn't give me enough room for this. Okay, that's good, I think. Right? It just sounds weird. I don't know if that's supposed to sound. We thought, so in regards to his tail, we got him from the pound, and we thought he was, that they'd cut it off or he'd lost it somehow, but we didn't realize till way later that.
Hey, how you doing, Justin? Here, are you ready?
Minx, I think it's called. Minx cat, and that's a whole breed without a tail. So sometimes they have nubs, but he just doesn't have one, which causes a lot of problems for us though, because they have nerves and bones and then muscles in their tail that allow them to shit better. And so Luca will just randomly let out poops like around the house because he can't hold it as well. He does better now. We got him like, you know, the blue buffalo food that's really expensive. We have to buy him that so he doesn't shit all over the house. But he's fine now. Let me practice, Nacho. It's just the same over and over again. I can't get this last one. Why can't I? Oh, I wasn't pushing down hard enough that time. Okay. Let's go. Take it off. Put it back on. Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna try the A chord again. Ooh. Can't remember. Oh, you see that? Head. Maybe I'll watch the next video. I don't know. I don't want to do. As long as I don't learn any new chords. I see one coming down the line is how to use Justin's song app. I see you, Justin. I see you. Self-promoting.
How you doing, Justin? Here, and today I'm going to share with you what I think is probably the most important exercise in this entire course.
Whoa.
It is the 1 minute changes. We're going to pick 2 chords and change between them as many times as we can in 1 minute. Sounds pretty simple. Actually, it is a relatively simple exercise, but the benefits are huge. As I already mentioned, the first hurdle that beginners have is dealing with the finger pain. That's generally pretty horrible for a couple of weeks and gradually gets better. It should be pretty much gone after a couple of months, if not sooner. The next challenge is making the chord changes fast enough to be able to play a song, because you can't really play a song just with one chord. There might be a song here or there that's just one chord, but most songs have multiple chords, so learning to change between the chords is the thing that you need to be able to do to play any songs. It's also the fact that we count the changes in the 1 minute changes exercise is a fantastic motivational tool, because you actually get to see your progress. There's no question about it. Sometimes when you're learning guitar, it's like, oh, have I really got better? I've done all of this practice. But with 1 minute changes, because you're writing the number of changes down each practice session, you can see yourself go from like, I did 5 changes this minute, and then the next day I did 10, and the next day I did 25, and it's quantifiable. It's a really fantastic motivational tool, so I definitely encourage you to be using the practice routine generator on my site, or the 1 minute changes counter in the app, or at the very least a piece of paper and a pen and writing down how many chord changes you do with each practice session. So I've already given you the idea. Right now we've only got 2 chords to change between, which is the A chord and the D chord. So the first thing I recommend you do is just actually make the chord changes a few times. So we're doing A to D today. It's the only 2 chords that we know. So just remembering to use the anchor finger there just trying to get the chord nice and fresh before we go into doing the 1 minute changes. The object of the exercise of 1 minute changes is to do fast chord changes. They're allowed to be a little bit sloppy. I know this might seem a little bit weird, but the accuracy of the finger placement isn't the key thing. They should be on the right string and in the right fret. But the rest of it is kind of forgivable. If the notes aren't quite ringing out as clearly as you'd like or whatever, that's okay. That's why we do the chord perfect practice as well. So chord perfect practice is about making the chords sound really good. 1 minute changes is about making the changes really fast. And if you practice those two things separately, after a few weeks you'll find they start to come together, and you'll find that you're doing very fast and accurate chord changes.
I'm getting the vibe
in the
that
initial
I should take a
stages,
few
those
weeks
two
on
things
these.
might seem a little bit distant. So you're doing your 1 minute changes and you're like, oh, these chords aren't ringing out right, it's not good enough. It's okay. If you've got any doubt, go and watch my left-handed practice, the Nitsudge lessons, where I'm starting out doing these chord changes. It's a bit of a fumble fest. There's lots of duff notes coming out, and that's totally all right. So once you've got your fingers, they kind of know roughly where they're going to go. You're going to hit start on the timer, and then you're going to go do as many as you can. You're going to strum each chord, and you're going to count each time you do a chord change. I usually count the first one as well, so I'd hit start and I go.
This is playing left-handed. It is.
2.
Oh, okay.
3.
This is just him.
4. 5. 6. Going through and counting out loud so that you can count your changes. Now, ideally, what we're looking for is a flow. So even if it's real slow, trying to get like a flow going from one chord to the next.
I'm kind of excited to do this.
Just so you've got like a pulse to it. Because once you've got a pulse, you can start trying to speed it up. Ideally, like the long-term thing, I think, is that you want to get to 60 changes in a minute. That's a chord change every second. For sure, you won't be doing that in your first week.
All right.
Okay, but that's if you can do 60 chord changes of a particular pair of chords, I'd say you don't need to practice it anymore. Okay? So that's the object. To pass the first grade, I would usually say, and to get through this lesson, I'd say that you want to get up around 30 changes in a minute. Okay, so 1,
Wait, did you say to get
around
past
30. I would usually say, and to get through this lesson, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. up to 30. If you can get 30 changes done in a minute, that's enough to move on to the next lesson. To pass the grade out is 30, but really 60 is that's the target that you want to try and reach with all of the chord changes. You're going to find some chord changes harder than others. Of course, this week we've only got one. But as we move on further down the course and we introduce more chords, there are more different changes. So you want to work on the ones that you're finding the hardest. Do let me know in the comments below how you're getting on with this. How many chord changes did you get through the very first?
Okay. We're about to do our very first chord change. 60 second timer. I need a big one on the screen. Okay, wait, hold on, chill. You're too quick, chill. Okay, whoa. Let me just remind myself. D. A. It's gonna sound real shitty. D. A. Okay. Ready? Here we go. My first time. Here, I'll actually write it down. Okay. Let me cheat. Okay. 1. 2. I don't know if I did that one right. 3. Fucked up. 4. 5. Oh wait, no, that doesn't count yet. God damn it. Now it's 5. Oh fuck. Okay, 6. 7, I think. 8. One more. I'm gonna cheat and say that was 9. We got 9 in that shit. That must be a new record. That's record speed right there, ladies and gentlemen. He said to get past this lesson, get 30. That's crazy. Follow my beginner. Do the 1 minute change. For the finger paint. Keep trying to practice. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Get up to 30 before I move on to the next lesson. We want to do this. Okay, how am I at 120? I can practice D and A for a bit longer. It's not bad. I think I should really practice just doing D and A for the rest of today. Then maybe tomorrow I'll do some more, and then I'll do some changes exercises, and that seems to be what's gonna happen for now. But with the D chord, I'm having a hard time doing this. That guy's just okay. There we go. Oh shit! He's in that division. Lucas just off camera looking at me. It's really funny. Okay, I feel like I'm pushing too hard. Ow. I take my finger off and my fingers off, they're literally stuck to the strings. At least it's just consistently that last one that keeps getting stuck. Take them off, put them back on there. Okay. Where are we at? 122? At 130. I'll probably stop. Just practice the D chord a bit longer. Then maybe I'll do A chord the rest of the time. This is a really hard one. I'm actually not even sure if I've been doing it right. Seems good. Yo, which one's this one? Hold on. Just need to push down my first finger a little more. Okay. Okay. Fuck. I was honestly not believing Justin so much about the finger pain, but they're already hurting a little bit. Okay. I also want to focus on not pushing as hard. No, I can't even get my fucking fingers on there. Fuck. Okay. Let me turn up the gain. Hold up, turn down the volume too much. There we go. Oh shit, is that too loud? Hope that's not too loud. Everything's better though, if I'll be honest. I'll switch back. Alright, let's try A chord one last time. You know, Moo, I've actually never listened to Deftones. You think I should? I'm always down. Give me some song recommendations, I'll be down. I think I want to keep every day to about an hour, hour and a half. I don't want to burn myself out too early, so I think we'll end it here today. Shout out you, Moo, for sticking around. I will hopefully see you, see you tomorrow again. Bye-bye. Bye, Moo.